My name is Fred Duff, and I'm here with Castlin Cook. Here to talk to you today about this point in the process, which I think is the most critical part of the mortgage process. I've sent over, most likely at this point, a checklist of items that I'm asking you to obtain. As frustrating as it is, these documents are so critical for our success, and the speed in which we obtain these documents cannot be understated. So we can look like a Superman to you if we have these documents, or we can unfortunately be the ugly bride if we're getting these documents late in the game. So let's go over a couple of these items and talk about them briefly. All right, so one is a driver's license. Hopefully you have a copy of a driver's license or a government issued ID. A snapshot of a picture or whatever would be fine. You can scan that over to me. We can make a copy of it. We just need to get a copy of it. We've got to verify that you are who you say you are. Secondly, we prefer a Social Security card. Now, honestly, if you cannot find your Social Security card, one, you can get a replacement, or two, there are some alternative documentation. Do everything in your power to get the Social Security card. It's the preferred documentation, and it tells us more than other documents that you are, once again, who you say you are. So we're going to talk about assets. It does not behoove you or help you at all if you hide assets or don't tell me about what you've got. It's really critical not simply to use those assets, but we use those assets in qualifying you for your application. So, for example, if you don't say you have a certain amount of assets, we put the configuration of your transaction into a system, in our case called DU or LP. These are underwriting systems for FHA, for VA, and for conventional transactions, and even on USDA for what they call government underwriting systems. They analyze this documentation, calculate a risk, and come back to us on items that we need or the parameters of the transaction. So it is important, and it will help you to give the best picture, true picture of who and what you are. Now, remember, in assets, we need a copy of your bank statement. A phone screenshot will not work. They won't allow us to do that. So a transaction history is not going to do it. We need the actual bank statement. You can access most of these online and save it and then just send it over to us in a PDF. Or once again, we could make a copy of it or I could pick it up. Anyway, we don't care. We just need it. One thing to note, large deposits or withdrawals that are out of the ordinary in your account will need to make an explanation on those items. So, for example, Uncle Sam gives you, and by Uncle Sam, I'm not talking about the government. However, we can talk about that too. Someone gives you a gift of $2,000. So you would have to document where that money came from, and in some cases, verify from them that they had the ability to give it to you. So at this stage, I think it's fair to note that, remember, in mortgage transaction, that we're going to look in the last 2 months of your assets, and we're going to analyze, unfortunately, all the details. So if money is in there, we need to know where it came from, that it's ordinarily yours to give, and that you're not incurring a different account or debt, just to make sure that we've done our due diligence and that we're not getting you into a transaction that you can't afford. So be aware of that. Now, having said the same thing, we talked about Uncle Sam. Let's say Uncle Sam, i.e. the government, did give you a tax return. And that money is sourced and seasoned. We just need to verify that it came from the government. And that is perfectly acceptable. That's what they call seasoned and sourced funds. Seasoned and sourced funds would include things like your normal paycheck. You sold a boat, you have a copy of the receipt of the boat, and you took the funds and put them into your bank account. Those have been seasoned. You've had those for more than 2 months. It was your assets, sure as anything, and we can source that back at least 60 days. So be aware of that. Vice versa, if mom or dad or grandma and grandpa are going to give you a gift, make sure you're communicating with the processor and myself accordingly to make sure that we do that right with a gift letter. Because if you don't do it correctly, once again, your giftor is going to have an increased amount of documentation that they're going to be required to provide. And we like to avoid the conversation, well, I'm not getting a mortgage. Why do I have to get all this stuff? Well, because it's the rules. We don't make them. We have to unfortunately just live by them. And all lenders are the same when it comes to this. So unfortunately, that's the case it is. Now, in putting the application together, we need a complete 2-year history of all of your employment. In today's age, it's less common that people stay at their job for 20 years. It's always nice to find somebody when they do, but let's be honest with you. I mean, we've had a fairly tumultuous economy, and so it's not uncommon, especially with millennials, to have some job switching from here to there. So when that occurs, we need to verify all your jobs, where you worked, when you worked, and we will have to go back and verify those. It's really critical when we're talking about income and understanding that income. So we have to go back and look at those things. Okay. Retirement, Social Security, stocks, bonds, any asset that's yours. Now, the car, guess what, guys? It really doesn't matter. The car, the boat, all your other, I know there's a place in the application for you to put it on there. I don't know why they do it, because it means nothing. So just save yourself time and myself time. There's no need to put that in the application. So just an FYI, if you're self-employed, I'm going to need the last 2 years of your full, complete bank statements, tax returns, and all the schedules. We have to average the last 2 years to assess how much you make. So when we do that, we're going to analyze, the performance of your last 2 years in your business. If we have a decrease in the income, we will likely have to go with the lowest income. Those are the rules that are set forth for our underwriting department, and